Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. It's been a very long time since I've filmed. I'm gonna probably make a separate video to talk about all of that stuff, but not today. So this video, I'm gonna be talking about Accutane and my experiences with that whole endeavor and how I liked it, what I felt like, how I feel like it worked for me, whether I recommend it, and what I feel like it's done for me up until now. So I started it June 1st of 2017, and it has been almost a year and 1 month since I took it. And this is what my skin looks like now. As you can see, these are pretty old scars here on my shoulder from cystic acne. I have a current breakout right now. I'm very hormonal right now. So I got this bad guy right here. My skin's kind of oily right now. It's oily yet dry, so that's fun to deal with. But I don't really get the breakouts on my chest anymore. I still have some scars from when I did. My back still breaks out a little bit, and I still get random cysts throughout my body, like on my thigh in particular right now. I still get them. I have one that hurts right now so bad, but that just kind of can still occur, and it runs in my family, and there are ups and downs before and after you take Accutane. So first of all, it is a constant struggle when you take Accutane. Of course, you have to have 2 forms of birth control, either an implant or the pill, or unless you have, of course, have had a surgery like a hysterectomy or something, but they make you always have the 2 forms of birth control. Or you have to sign a contract stating that you will not be sexually active, and they'll accept that. I think they all do, but I don't think that all of them will, but my dermatologist did. However, I just went ahead and went on birth control and used condoms and stuff as directed, or at least that's what, you know, they usually have you do, or sign off as your 2 forms of birth control, because the birth defects are like frightening. You can have babies born without ears, or they can be born blind. They can have cleft palates, born with heart and lung defects, like their lungs will not be fully formed. It's totally frightening. So you definitely do not want to be pregnant or become pregnant while you are on Accutane. Then the next thing is they make you sign a contract stating that if you become depressed or have any thoughts or feelings of suicide or self-harm, or thoughts of hurting anyone else, then you will immediately stop taking Accutane. So it's really frightening. And they're like, don't worry, the most common side effects that you will feel are the dry skin and dry lips, and you'll, maybe feel a little bit itchy for the first few days. But there's a lot of things that they don't tell you or that they don't explain. So I highly recommend that if you do go on it, that you look into these things before you take it. I watched videos, I read into some things, I read reviews on the product, but still I did not get enough information before I took it, and I don't know that you ever truly will before you go on it. It's just a very complex medication, and it's very scary. I did have instances where I became really unmotivated and really depressed. It affected me in my work life, my home life, with my relationship. It just made me really down all the time. I felt stressed out. I felt like I was going crazy. Some of it, yeah, it is from the birth control, because you do get emotional and hormonal while you're on the birth control, and it is a little bit of a different type of birth control. And I can attribute some of the symptoms to the birth control that I was on, because they gave me one form of birth control. They started me out on Nikki, and then they switched me to Gianvi after 2 months, and that's when I really started to notice I was getting depressed and getting anxiety and feeling the emotional side effects really heavily. And I read into that, and a lot of people said that when they started out on Gianvi, they were fine, they were perfect, it was the best birth control ever, and then they were switched to Nikki and vice versa, and everything went to crap. And they were never the same again while they were on the birth control after that. So, so some of that is definitely attributed to that. Even after I was off Accutane, the birth control made me so anxious and depressed. I almost just didn't want to live anymore. It was so bad. So I did have to stop taking that. I'm now on a non-hormonal birth control. I have the copper IUD, and I don't feel any of that stuff anymore. So I'm very happy. But reading up on Accutane, it says that it can have an effect on you for a period of time after taking it, and they don't tell you that, and your doctor, if you see one regularly, will brush that off. They'll say you're not taking it anymore, it's not going to affect you. They'll tell you that that the Accutane is cleared from your system in a week, and that's not true for everybody, especially people who are a bit overweight like myself. I don't have a perfect body, obviously, and it's Accutane. It gets into your whole system, into all of your glands. It's got to really get out of your system, and it's gonna be in there for a little while longer than they think, so and for a while afterwards I was still experiencing things, and like I said, some of that was the birth control, but I can't completely say 100% no, Accutane did not have any effect, because I don't know for sure. There was a lot of things that it had an effect on me. I was nauseated and sick to my stomach, and I had cramps, like stomach cramps, not menstrual cramps, all the time. I lost my appetite about the second month, and I was on it for 5.5 months. I stopped taking it half a month sooner because I was supposed to be on it for a full 6 months, but I just couldn't take it anymore. I did start to get nosebleeds. They started out just, a little spot of blood, but then it got increasingly worse to a nosebleed a day, then 2 nosebleeds a day. I was getting dizzy. My migraines were coming back, and I do take medication for migraines specifically. I felt like my body literally was just wasting away from the inside out. I was dehydrated, and I tried to stay hydrated. My hair was dry and falling out. My skin obviously was dry, and there wasn't a whole lot I could do to help it. I was moisturizing. I exfoliated the dead skin when needed, but using an exfoliator on Accutane isn't the greatest idea, so I wouldn't do that unless you absolutely need to, because your skin is so sensitive while you're on Accutane. You can't wax, or you can't get any type of specialized types of brow treatments. I don't remember what they're called, because it's so bad for your skin because it's so sensitive. Just shaving, I would get huge nicks on my skin, and I wasn't even pushing down on the razor. I would shave so lightly, and I got a huge cut on my ankle that I still have a scar from, and it's raised even. I have multiple bug bites that I would scratch in the middle of the night without realizing, and they are now scars on my leg. My skin did not heal properly and still has not, and I don't think that it will. There were instances where I don't know, I would just stare. I would just sit there and stare, and I don't know what I was staring at. In my Accutane videos, you can see an instance of me doing that for I don't know, at least 2 minutes in the video, and I just was not myself the entire time that I was on it. And there's a part of me that honestly regrets taking it because of how it made me feel about myself and about life. Because before I took it, I was happy-go-lucky, happy all the time. I wasn't depressed. Yes, in the past I had issues with depression, but I had gotten through them, and I was over them, and I was feeling fine about life. There were some times, right around the time I was a little bit stressed out about, but I wasn't depressed, and I was thinking about, hurting myself or anything. But it's strange. Accutane really does have a strange effect on your brain. At one point, I was just sitting in my living room, and all of a sudden, I just had a random thought that was 2 sides of my brain arguing, telling me all of a sudden to end my life. And I'm what? I was I don't want to die. It was the most frightening experience I think I have ever had. And just 7 years ago, there was a huge tornado in my town, an EF5, and it destroyed my home. Luckily, I was able to get to a storm shelter, And literally having that thought was more frightening than that day. So, because I've never had a thought like that, and I just never have experienced anything like it. So, I definitely encourage anybody who is thinking about it or is about to start taking it to possibly reconsider to check out some other acne medications if it's, you know, available. If this is the last resort, I definitely understand. But, you know, there are some days I'm like, maybe I was better off with the horrible acne I had. And I definitely understand. I will insert pictures of the acne that I had. I have horrible, horrible cystic acne. My father had it. I got the horrible gene. It was the most painful, disgusting looking acne. It just like right here on my forehead even, and I never had acne on my forehead until about this time. All over on my back, on my thighs, my chest. And of course with a cyst you can't pop it. It will decide when it's ready and it will just do its thing. And they would just burst at the worst times, talking to customers at work, or just when you lightly touch around it, it'll just explode and then it'll bleed and just ruin your whole day. So I understand what it is like to have Accutane or to have acne and to feel like you are the ugliest person in the room, because I felt that every single day, especially when people point it out to you and say, oh man, you should go to a dermatologist, you should really do something about that acne. Do you wash your face because that acne is disgusting? Like, these are literally things people would say to me. My mom's best friend would tell me, man, you need to do something about that acne, you need to go to the dermatologist. At the time, you know, does it look like I have money to just drop on a dermatologist like I'm a kid, you know? So, and it affected me at the weirdest point in my life, you know. I was an adult, so I didn't know, you know, what on earth could bring it on. But obviously it's taken care of now. I just have a lot of scarring. For reference, I am turning 27 this year. I know I don't look like I am 27. I know, but I'm going to be 27 this year. So, whenever I stopped taking it, I told them I was done. I couldn't do it anymore. I lost 17 pounds while I was on Accutane. I started at 175 and ended at 152, and I didn't mind the weight loss, but that's something that you might want to consider, especially if you're a smaller person and you're going on Accutane, because if you start out small and possibly already unhealthy, this could be something that might really hurt you, because this is just like sucking the moisture and the nutrients like out of your body. So you definitely have to stay as hydrated as possible. Eat even though you don't feel like eating. Eat even if you think you're gonna throw up, because I don't know how many times I threw up over that last year because of Accutane or because of my birth control or whatever. But like I said, there's just a lot of things that they don't tell you. I had a dry eye. I could not wear my contact lenses because I had a semi-permanent dry eye that it just started getting red and irritated, and I wouldn't be able to keep my contacts in. No amount of eye drops or like cleansing of the lenses would help. I had to wear my glasses. My glasses are broken, but I had to wear them anyway. I am completely blind without them. I had just random instances of cracking in the lips because it's one of the most common side effects, and it hurt. I had like gum bleeding because that is another thing that happens. I had headaches and like I said, cramps, nausea, vomiting. The birth control made my boobs hurt. I had muscle spasms in my legs and in my feet. It really was not the most fun time in my life, and I wanted people to know what I went through, and I just want to kind of recommend that anybody who's about to take it to really think it through, because it might not be the best for you. I also did live alone at the time, and living alone on this stuff is not a good idea. If you live alone, I would suggest waiting until you have a roommate or a boyfriend or something. Have a friend stay with you. Anything where you're not in a situation where you are alone, because this stuff really, really affects you emotionally, and there's no telling what it can make you do. So, that is my advice. These are my experiences that I had while I was on Accutane. I hope it helps anybody who's considering it, and anybody who is maybe really suffering with acne. I mean, I tried everything. I tried Proactive. I was allergic to it. Same story with the generic versions that they sell at like Target and Walmart. I'm allergic to willow bark extract, so I couldn't use Burt's Bees or some of the other brands like it. I have strange skin and I have weird allergies, so I definitely understand for those of you out there who are considering it. I took it because it was my very, very, very last resort, and I was going through the worst time in my life because of the acne, and I just felt like the ugliest person in the world because of it. It tore me up, literally from the inside out, because of how I looked and felt because of the way that I looked. So, this is my advice, and I really do hope that anybody out there knows what they're getting themselves into. I hope that it helps, and that you consider all things and definitely do your research on it. Feel free to watch the videos that I have on it. They are a little bit long, but I wanted everybody to get a good idea about what my day-to-day life was on Accutane. So, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.